The regression and pay remedy analyses are two related compensation analyses. You can find the settings for these two analyses by selecting the Compensation tab, and then you'll see the regression and pay remedy analyses right here. If you haven't watched the tutorial, What is Multiple Regression, definitely look at that before using the regression and pay remedy analyses in DVAAPBase. So these two analyses share several settings. You'll notice that whether I have the pay remedy or regression selected, the same settings area is shown here at the bottom. That's because the pay remedy analysis uses a regression calculation to identify the need for pay remedy and to determine what pay adjustments would eliminate the discrepancy. On the first settings tab, you select the people groups to compare. Now, this is a standard selection of people groups, and selecting the custom comparison allows you to define new people groups and to do a custom comparison if needed. If you aren't familiar with the concept of these comparison settings, please watch the Understanding Comparison Groups video in the Reporting Concepts section of the DVAAPBase video training. So in making the comparison selection, you are identifying the people group to analyze in the regression analysis. So if you choose female versus males, then females will be shown in the regression results. If you choose minority versus non-minorities, then the minorities will be shown, and so on. The regression results will show if there's a correlation between being a member of the people group and the rate of pay. So we're going to pick female versus male. On the second tab, you have to identify the field in the workforce data to analyze as pay. Most of the time, you'll be selecting the annual pay field. However, the regression analysis can test any numeric field in the workforce data. For example, if you wanted to check if the bonuses paid to a particular job title were fair to minority employees, you could select the total bonus pay field and do an analysis on that. Or you could select the last merit amount to see if merit increases were fair. And on the right side, you identify the fields to analyze as independent variables. That is, the numeric measurements that should be or might be used to determine employee compensation. For more details on selecting fields, watch the Selecting Report Data Fields training video. In this case, the managers have indicated that these 2 years of performance ratings and months in the job are the main criteria to use. At the lower left are some optional outputs that can be included with the regression report. Checking the first box will result in an Excel file being created that contains the workforce information for all the employees included in the regression analysis. That's a supporting document file that can be used to get a very detailed listing of everybody who was included in the analysis. The second checkbox will display a paragraph at the bottom of the regression report that briefly explains how to read the results. We're going to leave that one checked. Checking the bottom checkbox will cause DVAAPBase to notify you when there's insufficient data to produce the regression report. Well, why wouldn't you always want to know about such issues? Well, since you can select multiple groups to report on it at a time, you might not want to be interrupted with warnings. Since we'll be checking one group of employees, we'll leave this checked. We shouldn't get any warnings, but that will ensure that if there is an issue, we'll know about it. So now we choose to run the regression report. We're going to run it by job level. So we're going to focus on job levels and one particular job level, this one right here. Now we can preview the regression analysis. Now let me point out that DVAAPBase makes use of a popular open source statistics system called R. You may have noticed that's being installed during the DVAAPBase installation. The R package completes the regression calculation, then DVAAPBase brings it into the report you see now. Let's zoom in a little bit here and take a look at these results. So at the top of the report are shown the headcounts and average pays for the employees being analyzed as a quick reference. And then we have the regression results in this table here at the bottom. So this shows the results for all the people group that we selected, in this case females, and the other independent variables. The key column to look at here is the t-stat. When this value is -2 or less, it indicates a statistically significant negative correlation with pay. And you may notice that if this value is 2 or more, we see a statistically significant positive correlation with pay. So both of these columns will be flagged with a check mark in this last column. So as you can see, there's a negative correlation shown for females here. If we wanted to determine what changes to female pay would eliminate this discrepancy, we could use the pay remedy analysis. So let's take a look at that now. Now remember, the pay remedy analysis also requires the same regression settings to be configured. These settings are independent for the pay remedy, so we need to first confirm that we have this pay remedy's regression settings set up exactly the same as the regression report we just ran. So we'll be doing the pay remedy report. We're doing it by female versus male, annual pay, and make sure we have the same independent variables. So now we can look at this third tab here, which contains the settings that are specific to the pay remedy report. So first we need to indicate the target t-stat that we want to have for the people group. Now what does that mean? Well, it helps to understand how the pay remedy analysis works. The analysis will make a copy of the employee records being analyzed, and then it will increase the pay of the people group being analyzed. Then it will run the regression report to see what the result of that pay increase had on the t-stat for the people group. It repeatedly does these adjustments until the t-stat for the people group is equal to or close to the target t-stat that you select. So in this setting, you'll enter a target t-stat that is less than 2, and you also must indicate how close to the target you want the pay remedy to get. Since the output of the pay remedy report is a detailed listing of the analyzed employees, their current pay, and the pay adjustments, you can decide which employees in the analysis to show on the report. You can show all the employees together, sorted by pay, or you can show all the employees but separated into the analyzed group and those that are not in the group. Or finally, you can show just those employees that had their pay adjusted. Let's show all the employees but separate them. Now at the upper right, we indicate what pays should be adjusted. We can either adjust the pay of all employees by the same amount, in this case all females, or we can increase only the pay for females who are paid less than the male mean. Now those whose pay is further below the mean get a larger increase than those who are closer. So let's adjust those who are below the mean. Now since this is a listing of employees, we can show how to identify the employees on the report via either their names or their employee ID. Let's just show their employee ID. Now this final checkbox here is important. The pay remedy report will list the suggested adjustments which will yield the desired t-stat. Now, it would be nice to see that result, right? So if you check this checkbox, a regression analysis is done using the adjusted pay values so you can see the outcome of the change and that the t-stat does in fact reach the target value. So we're going to leave that checked. So now we can go ahead and preview the report and see the results. Remember, we're doing it by job level and for this one job level group here. So now we're going to preview the analysis. Now as you can see, the analyzed employees are listed by ID with their current pay information. Now this first block of employees are the male employees, since as you can see there's no check mark in the females column. You can also see that none of the male employees have a pay adjustment shown in these columns on the right. So let's scroll down to see the female employees so we can see the adjustments. So now you can see there's check marks here. Now since we chose to adjust those female employees' pay whose pay was below the male mean, the higher paid female employees do not have an adjustment. They're already above the male mean. So let's go down so we can see some adjustments. Okay, so now here's where the adjustments start to take place here. So now you can see the adjustments for each employee are shown. The amount of pay increase is shown. The adjusted pay, which is their current pay plus the amount of the adjustment, and also the percentage increase. Now if we go to the end of the report, we can see that there's a total adjustment amount if all the adjustments are made. Then at the very end of the report, the final section, there's an explanatory paragraph describing how the pay adjustments were determined. Now since I checked the option to have a regression report done, when I closed the pay remedy preview, the regression report was going to be shown. As you can see, the resulting t-stat for females is within 0.1 of the 1.85 target t-stat.